Hey guys, what's going on? It's Kevin Lee. So today we're going to be talking about a very underrated martial art, in my personal opinion, Savate. So make sure you guys stay tuned. So Savate originated on the street in Paris in the 17th and 18th century. So most of us know Savate as a sports version, but a lot of people actually don't know is the Savate actually came from the streets. Now, of course, a lot of times we have different formats of kickboxing. There's Muay Thai, there's a traditional, the Cambodian kickboxing. Savate, because in the format of using the rule, we're not really allowed to use the knee or the shin for striking, but rather we'll be kicking with the shoes. So you can make impact with any part of your shoes, but mostly when we strike, we're using the toes like this. Sometimes we use the blade on the side like that, or we use the bottom of the foot to kick, or the blade to hit the shin. So a lot of times, because the dynamic of a kicking, we tend to hit to the body parts like solar plexus, the ribs, the groin, the in thigh and out thigh. So when we talk about Savate, you have different range of motion. The very common thing that we talk about in Savate is we need to create a range, so I'm able to kick to the ribs, or maybe I can create a range to hit to the solar plexus like so. Now Savate also has weapon. We have a cane and a baton. A baton is more like a long range weapon, which is using for two hands, where the cane is a short range stick, so using for close range fighting. Now, when we talk about striking, there's three basics that everybody should know. Number one, we call this foot-tae. Foot-tae is going to be striking with the toe, with the tip of your toe. Now, of course, in Savate, we'll actually be kicking this with the boots. Since I'm not wearing boots for proper damage, you should probably wear boots. But for shoes, it's the same thing. You can just tap to the leg, or a lot of times we'll move to the side like so, and you'll tap to the rib. Or if you're good in aiming, we hit straight into the solar plexus. Now, if you practice Wing Chun, if you look at my stance, traditional kickboxing tend to stand like this or like this. Savate, you're actually gonna point your toes slightly inward. This is very similar to Wing Chun stance where we go like this. When I pull my leg backwards, you notice my toes are slightly inwards. When we're practicing Savate, we want them aiming everything straight into a center line. Now, because we're striking with the toes, anytime if I point my toes forward like this, it makes it a lot easier for me to hit directly to a target. Whereas opposed my toe points on the outside, I will have to go around the target to make that impact and then bring it back down. So a lot of times when Savate guys are moving, my toes are actually aligning inwards. That also makes my knee close to the center, so I'm easy to defend like so, with movement, okay? So, number one, we call this foot-tae. And number one, I move on the side. The first thing I want to think about is my knee and my hip is going to be aligned together towards the target. So if I'm facing the camera like this, when I turn, I open my body at 90 degrees. Then my foot comes out. This is going to be aligned to the target. Then I strike, then I bring it back into a position. So here I'm facing Mike, I'm going to stab to the side. Number one, I'm going to hit low. When I hit low, I want to bend my rear leg so that way I can kick like that. But I don't want to just do this, because I'll be out of range from the kicking. So first stab is when I move, I'm gonna bend my rear leg like this and kick, then bring it back. You can do the same thing with the medium level. If I step, I extend my leg straight, kick, and then I bring it back. If I move my body this way, this time I'm gonna aim directly to the solar plexus and I'll bring it back. This is called foot-tae. Number two is called chassé, which there's two different chassé. There's a frontal and a lateral. Frontal is more like a push kick, like foot jab in Muay Thai. Well, the difference is we're gonna be hitting with the heel. So a lot of time I'm here, I'm gonna lift my foot up. I'm gonna kick with the heel and I'll bring it back. This can go midline to the solar plexus, high line to the face, or low line to the knee, like so. Same thing with the rear leg. You kick with the heel, or you kick to the knee, or if you hit good, hit to the head, then bring it back. So that's a frontal chassé. Then you have a lateral chassé, which is step to the side. You're gonna chamber your knee away from the target. This hip line is not gonna be a line. You can hit low, middle, or same thing, high line. So, lateral chassé, I step to the side, I move my body, and I strike to the knee level, or sometimes we'll hit to the hip like this and then push him back. If you go with the aiming, step to the side, hit straight to the solar plexus, okay? So these are the very three common things that you will see in Savate. My favorite one is gonna be Coup de Pied. Coup de Pied, well, Coup de Pied. Depending on the level, I can strike to the low line with the side of a blade like this. You'll see a lot of time Bruce Lee does this. JKD was also heavily influenced by Savate. A lot of time my teacher would tell me, JKD front kick is like Savate, but the rear leg is like Muay Thai. So a lot of time we'll do this, that's like a strike. Guru also told me back in the day when they started training JKD, they actually hit with the toes. because they're learning how to do a Savate kick like that. Later on, they use focus spin, so it becomes more of an in-step kick. Okay, so Number one, let's recap. You have forte, which is gonna be more like a roundhouse kick. You can go middle or low like that. Number two, you have a chasse, which is gonna be frontal chasse, or you have a lateral chasse, which is gonna be horizontal like so. Then you can start combining these two things together. You can go forte, forte, or you can go forte, move out, chasse low. Or you can do a frontal chasse and then lateral chasse on the side like that, okay? So these are the kicking combinations that you can practice. Now, as far as for defending, what I like about Savate is you're hitting with a toe directly to a target, either on the solar plexus or the ribs. So let's say Mike comes forward with a jab cross. Sometimes we'll move out like that. See, that first shot will be directly to the solar plexus. My job is I don't stay here and do this because I'll get hit. As Mike approaches towards me, I move out, and then there'll be my first hit around the solar plexus. Anytime when I hit the first shot, I move 1, 2, and then when I move, if your hand returns back, then there's 3. Just like that. So one more time. I move out as 1, 2, kick the leg. Notice how his body moves back. The same leg, you'll be hooking to the face, working aim for the hip or the knee level. Okay? So one more time. He jab, he cross, that's first shot, second shot, and third shot will be to the head like so. Sometimes when we move, I'll move and then foot tap like that, and then frontal chasse, and then kick to the leg as a follow-up. So practicing Savate, you can use a kick to create any sort of combination. For now, I'm showing you guys a very basic level, so that way you can utilize the angle to move into a forte, forte, or you can do a forte, chasse low, or you can go a frontal chasse to a lateral chasse. You'll notice my body when I'm doing all this technique, I'm always moving. Sometimes in Savate, we'll use a foot to pull the hand down, so that way we can strike to the leg. Or you can use a hand to pull the hand down, so you can use a hand for striking. Savate in the basic level has 4 punches. Your jab, your cross, your hook with the left hand, right hand, and then 2 uppercuts. And that's the 4 basic punches you should learn at the beginning level. So be jab, cross, you can do your left hook, or your right hook, your left uppercut, or your right uppercut. But a lot of times we use the hand to move, and then into a kick like that. And most of the time, one thing about striking with multiple targets. You can hit to the solar plexus, the ribs, the kidneys on the side, in thigh, out thigh, or the groin. But for sports, you're not allowed to hit the groin. So a lot of times you see them just kind of kick the leg. My favorite one is you kick and you pull the leg, and then that also allows you to for striking, okay? You can kind of see where the influence of JKD comes from, like Savate, which we use a lot of pot tech, into a now tech, which is in Savate will be Kubiba into a forte, and then you have a chasse like that, okay? So these are gonna be introduction into Savate, and let me know if you think Savate is actually useful for street fighting, because in my personal opinion, if you're gonna be using shoes on the streets, you should be practicing with this, right? Because a lot of time when I'm using shoes, that gives a different type of impact. And nice thing about Savate is the distance training. At the point of impact, my leg has to be fully extended. I'm not allowed to do this in Savate, which is a halfway. So I have to spend more time to actually train. If Mike is here, when I move, my leg should be nice extended by the time of impact. Versus when I move out and kick, I'm halfway through, which is more like a Muay Thai style. So in Savate, when I punch, move, I want to be able to extend my leg out all the way and then pull my foot back. By the time I land, I'm away from a distance. So that way it's gonna be harder for him to strike. By the time he approaches me, I can frontal chasse or lateral and then move out like so, okay? So let me know what you guys think about Savate. Leave in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.